is to please keep an eye on where the CPI is going when it is time to consider the budget for fiscal year 2023. We both trust and know that you will do your best, the best you can for us, as you have this year. If I may end on a different note, all of us are aware and concerned that COVID, which we had thought we had just about licked, is making a comeback while vaccination rates remain stubbornly low. AFT members, both at Lone Star College and other school systems across the state, are currently engaged in a letter writing campaign to Governor Greg Abbott, asking him to simply give school administrators and their boards the authority to make their own decisions about protocols that are needed to keep students and employees safe, including decisions about masking. The request is both for K through 12 and higher education. In accordance with the law, private email addresses are used and letter writers do not claim to represent their districts. Over 2,000 letters were sent yesterday, the first day of the campaign. We know this is an uphill battle, perhaps a chaotic battle, but we firmly believe that local leaders are in the best position to decide what is needed to keep us safe and are most likely to have the greatest interest in doing so. We hope we will have an impact and that this will give Lone Star College more tools to help us through these times. Thank you so very much for your kind attention.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Desiree, do we have another speaker?
Yes, Chair, we have one more, Mr. Michael Moats. Link, if you would move him up to the panelist position, please.
Mr. Moats, you've been moved forward. Please unmute and begin.
Okay, I'll make sure. Okay, there we go. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Michael Moats. I'm 26 years old. I hold a bachelor's from Tarleton, or I say that, let me backtrack. I have an associate's from Lone Star, a bachelor's from Tarleton, a master's from Liberty, and I'm currently a doctoral student at another university. I'm also a registered behavior technician, a qualified mental health professional in the state of Virginia. I have worked as a behavior therapist, and I was a former journalist in the White House. I'm here to tell you today that you guys should be embarrassed. It's sad that the college has so much disregard for the needs of students who have disabilities and those who want their civil rights protected. This week, I had to file litigation against LSC because the college is in violation of 7 federal, state, law, statutes, and constitutional provisions. This semester, I had a professor who refused to respect the accommodations that I needed. She required us to look at our computer on the screen at the camera for a total of 3 hours and 20 minutes without the ability to take a bathroom break or drink water. If we looked away from the screen during these 3 hours, we'd be flagged for cheating. If there was a shadow, such as a cat jumping on a bookshelf, we would be flagged for cheating. I have ADHD and testing anxiety that is documented with the university, and I believe that expecting someone to sit there and look at their screen for 3 hours is unreasonable for a non-disabled person. The software uses facial recognition and face tracking of students. If you turn the facial recognition off, that is suspect, the professor says in her own words. This is a violation of Texas Business and Commercial Code 503001 without providing informed consent and getting the students' consent and recording them and tracking them using biometric data. Also, by forcing us to download this software, you're coercing us into a contract that we don't necessarily consent to because we're required to consent to the third-party software's terms of service when we download it. So we are coerced by either failing or accepting their terms of service, which we don't necessarily agree with. Also, all the recordings, our grades, personal information is stored on D2L, McGraw-Hill, Respondus, and Amazon servers without our consent. These third-party companies have access to our grades and other information that is protected by FERPA laws, and that is a grade violation. The professor blamed me for living in Fort Worth, saying, having you in Fort Worth is really difficult, when the program was advertised as being completely online. Then the professor discriminated against me by telling me that I would have to schedule my exams with her and coordinate with the testing center and also make sure that they were unlocked prior to the exams. Then she gave me shorter time frames to complete the exams than other students. I got 3 days when every other student got 2 weeks. I made numerous attempts to seek help from disability services and was referred to the department chair. To this day, after numerous emails to the department chair, I have never received a response to date from the department chair. The dean was out sick when all of this was taking place, and the VP who oversaw my case has suddenly been transferred out of his role right after denying my request. So his last act was to deny me without recourse. A member of your general counsel office suggested I appeal with the policies that are in place with the local policies. But you have to consider that the CSSO, Zach Copeland, is the same VP who denied my previous request, and he would be the one evaluating the civil rights complaint. Also, the individual who could look at the disability services complaint is the same executive director who also I emailed 14 times over these 3 weeks and have not heard a single response from. This is a denial of due process. Lone Star needs to consider a couple of things. The number of civil and human rights lawsuits filed against you guys in the last 10 years, I found 28 in state and federal court. There is accusations of racism, targeting the disabled, and violations of the Constitution. There are complaints on Facebook and Google, numerous complaints about the college's lack of communication. I fully intend to take my story to the media and show them the video that I have of the professor boasting about failing students and how she is not afraid to target students she believes is cheating, when in reality she says you will get flagged for cheating if you look away from your screen during a 3-hour exam. Not only are you in violation of the ADA, Section 504, the biometric laws, but advertising something as a completely online course, then penalizing students because they don't live in Houston and based on disability, also falls under the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Law. Simply creating a policy does no good if none of the employees are willing to follow it. The disability services provider put these accommodations in writing, but the professor simply didn't care. When you put something in writing, you should follow it. The instructors, the deans, the staff, the leadership have the responsibility to also follow the law and give us the information that we need. Coercing us into contracts that we don't consent to is not ethical or legal. I have a video of the professor threatening the class, but I don't think I have time to share that with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Dr. Head, can we please look into this and then get back to the board with any comments or updates?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other folks signing up for public comment?
No, Chair, we are complete with public comment.
Okay. So before we move to the next item, just want to make sure and we note that Trustee Sullivan and Trustee Pierce have joined us. So make